Welcome to the another lecture of week 3 that is all about voice, active and passive. Understanding active and passive voice rules are imperative and indispensable for candidates preparing for various government examinations as well as other competitive examinations. Today we shall discuss in detail these rules, followed by examples along with the sample questions asked in various examinations. Before we proceed, let's know the uses. We have two major voices in English language, means active and passive. Both in speaking and writing, these voices play a significant role. Let me ask you a question. Do you know what is the uses of these voices? Do you know why and where do we use active voice? And where do we use passive? Well, voice refers to the connection between the subject and the object of a sentence, which is linked through a verb. The active voice is so called because the subject of the sentence is the doer of an action that affects the sentence object. Like Tom baked a cake. In this sentence, the subject Tom performed the action, that is baked, on an object, and that is cake. The passive voice, on the other hand, is when the object is acted upon by the subject of the sentence, like the cake was baked by Tom. The object cake here in the sentence is the recipient of the action baked, which is performed by the subject Tom. In other words, we use active voice when subject is important and we want to highlight it, and when the object is important or we want to highlight it, we use passive voice. Always remember this. In the above sentence, Tom baked the cake. Here Tom is being highlighted. But in the second one, cake is baked by Tom. Here cake is important. Now let's see some rules. Subject and object are interchanged. Past participle means third form of the verb is used. By and other prepositions are not used in case subject is insignificant or vague. Now you see on the screen, this is the structure. The structure of active to passive voice is changed like this. Subject plus verb plus object, it is the active structure, and passive structure of the same is object plus helping verb plus third form of the verb plus by plus subject. Now see this table. Helping verb change from active voice to passive voice. In present indefinite, you see we have helping verbs like do or does, and these are changed into is, am, are. Likewise, is, am, are again changed into is, am, are plus being in passive voice. Has, have, these are changed into has or have plus been in perfect tense. In past tense, we have did, and a second form of the verb generally used in past indefinite tense, that is changed in passive voice was or were. Likewise, was and were are changed into was, were plus being, and in perfect tense we have had, and had is changed into had been. Likewise, future tense, will or shall in indefinite tense are changed into will or shall plus be, and in continuous tense we have no passive form. Likewise, all perfect continuous tenses, and the future perfect tense we have will, shall, have, and these are changed into will, shall, have plus been. So this is a table of helping verbs change in passive voice. Now let's see verb change through a common sentence. Here in present tense you see, he read a novel. It is changed as a novel is read by him. He is reading a novel is being read by him. He has read a novel has been read by him. Let's take the past tense now. He read a novel was read by him. He was reading a novel was being read by him. He had read a novel been read by him. Let's take the future indefinite tense. He will read a novel will be read by him. And in future continuous we have no passive voice. Let's take the future perfect tense. Will, shall, have. These are changed into will, shall, have been. Now see the sentence. He will have read a novel. A novel will have been read by him is the passive voice. Now on the screen you see table of pronoun change. Okay, when we interchange the subject, okay, and the object, these are generally changed. And there is a table. I is changed into me, we, us, you, they, them, he, him, she, her, it. So this is a table of pronoun change. Now let's see some basic sentences and observe some important rules. For example, there is a sentence before you. He teaches us English. Well, what do you see and what do you notice in this sentence? You see that there are two objects, us and English. Well, in case of two objects, any one of the object can be interchanged with the subject. For example, you can change the same sentence into passive voice in two different ways. First is, we are taught English by him. Or, English is taught to us by him. In modern English uses, first one is preferred. Let's take another sentence. People say that he is not punctual in his duties. This is active voice. Well, remember when the subject is general or vague, we should not use the preposition by in passive voice. See the passive voice of the sentence. It is said that he is not punctual in his duties. Another sentence we can take, he is to help me. Sometimes in the examination you will see the sentences which are unique ones, okay, and these are the problem areas in passive voice. We are just discussing some important rules regarding them. Okay, so he is to help me. Well, in this case of infinitive, you see to help is an infinitive here. And in case of infinitive, to plus verb is changed into to plus be plus verb. For example, I am to be helped by him. Now let's take another sentence on the screen. I have to teach Mohan. Remember, if there is has, have, had plus infinitive, means to plus verb, in active voice, we use be, B-E-B, just after to. We have already seen that type of sentence. Mohan has to be taught by me. It is the passive voice. Now you see, to teach is changed into to be taught. Let's take another sentence. The boy laughed at the beggar. Well, in case there is a preposition just after the verb, we use it just after the verb. Just after the verb. Okay? For example, the passive voice of the same sentence, the boy laughed at the beggar, would be, the beggar was laughed at by the boy. Now let's take another sentence. Your friend knows me. Well, remember the previous rule. The preposition is used according to the verb. We know this. So the use of the preposition by in such a situation is wrong. In this sentence, the verb knows takes to after it, not by. Remember, because the verb know always requires preposition to after it. So you can say the sentence in passive voice like, I am known to your friend. I am known to your friend. Okay, let's see the another sentence. Your conduct shocked me. I was shocked at your conduct. Now, by is always not used. Remember, some verbs takes the preposition according to the requirement, according to the situation. You have already read this in prepositions also. The another sentence you see, his performance satisfied everybody. Here in this sentence, everybody was satisfied with his performance. Now, by will not be used. With is used here. Let's take the another sentence. I asked Mukesh if he was ill. Well, you should remember, in such sentences, we change the first sentence only in passive voice. Now see the passive voice of the sentence and analyze. Mukesh was asked if he was ill. There is a change in the first sentence only. Second remains the same after if. Let's take the another sentence. Bring a glass of water for me. Now in this sentence, in case of order and command, remember, especially in imperative sentences, we should use let in the beginning. See and analyze the passive voice of the sentence. Let a glass of water be brought. Okay, another sentence is on the screen. Love your motherland. How to change the sentence in passive voice? Remember, in case of advice or request, it should be used. See the passive voice of the sentence. Your country should be loved. Take the another sentence. Help the poor. The poor should be helped. It is the passive voice. Okay, let's see the another tricky sentence on the screen. He made me sing a song. In case there is a causative verb in a sentence, change the causative verb into third form and use the infinitive to form just after it. Avoid by you, me, she, etc. See the passive voice of the sentence. I was made to sing a song. Now, here are some sentences on the screen. Stop the video, read them aloud and try to detect the errors. Then resume the video to get the answers. Let's take the first sentence. Every one of us surprised to see an old man of 62 taking part in the marathon held last week. What is the mistake in this sentence? Well, part A of this sentence is wrong because the sentence is in passive voice and no helping verb is used here. The tense is in past, so use was just before the verb surprised. Now see the correct sentence. Every one of us was surprised to see an old man of 62 taking part in marathon held last week. Let's take the another sentence. Looking into the situation that prevailed a few years ago, he was taken that decision. What do you see in this sentence? Well, the sentence is in active voice. So to say he was taken that decision would be wrong. Write it in active voice and say the sentence. Looking into situation that prevails a few years ago, he took that decision. Now this sentence is correct. Now let's take the another sentence that is on the screen. The ladder will be collapsed if you push the wall with both hands. Now what is the mistake in this sentence? Part B is wrong. Third form of the verb will be used, In all active voice, this is common that we use third form of the verb. Means the past participle. So the correct sentence is here for you. The ladder will be collapsed if you push the wall with both hands. Now let's take the another sentence that is on the screen. The executive of the company arrived at the venue only after the meeting was adjourned. Well, in this sentence, part D is wrong. This has the error. Because the sentence is in passive voice and no third form is used here. So use third form of the verb. And now see the correct sentence. The executive of the company arrived at the venue only after the meeting was adjourned. Now this is the correct sentence. Let's take the another sentence. The option living with us is to make the payment and keep quiet. Analyze this sentence and try to detect the error. Well, it is clear that part B is wrong. Here the verb left will be used in place of living. See the correct sentence now. The option left with us is to make the payment and keep quiet. Now here are some more sentences on the screen. These are 5 in number. Analyze these sentences, stop the video and try to detect the errors. Then resume the video to get the answers. Let's take the very first one. The quality of the content of our book was highly appreciable by most of the visitors. See, the sentence is in passive voice as usual and no third form is used here. So part C, where the word appreciable is, that is wrong. Use appreciated and say the sentence. The quality of the content of our book was highly appreciated by most of the visitors. Now this is the correct sentence. Let's take the another sentence. As a great player, Kapil Dev is known by all his contemporary players all over the world. Now see this sentence. The sentence of the same nature we have corrected. We have learned through the rules. Did you find the mistake? Well, some verbs don't take preposition by after them. Okay? Here the verb no takes the preposition to after it, to after it. So replace it in part B of the sentence and say the sentence as a great player, Kapil Dev is known to all his contemporary players all over the world. Let's take the another sentence that is on the screen. Analyze this sentence. Had I worked hard, I would have not scolded by my parents before all of you in such a hurting manner. Well, it is easy to detect error in this sentence. Can you guess? No? C. Part B is mistaken here. As the sentence is in passive voice and with would have been, it is not used. So use it just before the verb. Now see the correct sentence. Had I worked hard, I would have not been scolded by my parents before all of you in such a hurting manner. This is the correct sentence. Let's take the another sentence. The manager of that company postponed making a decision until he been given complete information. Now, what is the mistake in this sentence? Check this sentence. Well, in part C, been is used without had, as the tense is in past. So, this part has an error. Place has before been. And now, see the improved sentence. The manager of that company postponed making a decision until he had been given complete information. Now this sentence is right. Let's take the another sentence. Over 2 crore will be required to renovate the building being damaged during this cyclone. Here in the sentence, remove being, because being, being plus third form of the verb shows the continuous state of action in the passive mode or passive sentence. Here the first part of the sentence will remain in passive only. Now see the correct sentence. Over 2 crore will be required to renovate the building damaged during this cyclone. Now let's see some of the sentences here on the screen. Stop the video, analyze the sentences and resume it to get the answers. Okay, let's take the first one. A manager is being appointed to advise us on the viability of project. Here part A of the sentence is wrong, as there is no correct helping verb used here. The tense seems to be in present, so use has before been. Now see the correct one. A manager has been appointed to advise us on the viability of the project. Now this is the correct sentence. Let's take the another sentence. On account of the week-long strike, the factory was forced to close and next month's shipment will delay. Well, part D has an error, as the first part of the sentence is correct and balanced, while the second part means part D is imbalanced. So use passive voice here. Say the sentence as, on account of week-long strike, the factory was forced to close and next month's shipment will be delayed. Let's take the another sentence. The coordinator has received several warnings before being suspended finally for this lack of punctuality. Read this sentence carefully. Did you notice the mistake? Well, there is an error in part C. Because being suspended finally gives no sense here. Either say it before being suspended, or you can say before he was suspended. The coordinator had received several warnings before being suspended finally for the lack of punctuality. Or you can frame out this sentence as, the coordinator had received several warnings before he was suspended finally for this lack of punctuality. Both these sentences are right. Now let's take the another sentence that is on the screen. The bed has been arranged for him, but it has not been slept because of some ulterior reasons. Do you see that there is an error in part C of the sentence? As the verb slept is used without preposition in. There should be a preposition in after it. In such cases, we should use a preposition to pass over the action. That is the rule. So use in just after slept, the verb. Now see the correct sentence. The bed has been arranged for him, but it has not been slept in because of some ulterior reasons. Now the sentence is right. Okay, let's see the sentence on the screen. analyze it, and try to detect the errors. There is a sentence, someday the matter will be looked, but now no one is paying attention to it. Yes, it's easy. Part C is wrong. Use the preposition into just after the verb looked, because we generally use looked after, looked into. Okay? You know the rule. There are some verbs that don't give meaning without prepositions. See the correct sentence here now. Someday the matter will be looked into, but now no one is paying attention to it. Now this is the correct sentence. Let's take the another sentence. Many people injured in a plane crash in India, which took place a few years ago. Well, part A, if you read the sentence, you will find mistake in part A of the sentence, because this sentence should be in passive voice. Here it is the object in the beginning, so use the helping verb were, W-E-R-E, just before the verb injured. Now see the correct sentence. Many people were injured in a plane crash in India, which took place a few years ago. It is the correct sentence. Now let's take the last sentence of the session. Will you please let me know if there is any letter to post next day morning? In the second part of the sentence, the object any letter is used as a subject with infinitive, that is to plus verb, and we know it is changed into to plus be plus verb. So to post will be changed to be posted. See the correct sentence now. Will you please let me know if there is any letter to be posted next day morning? So we have completed active and passive voice, and by now we have learned basics of voice along with their current patterns and correct uses. Now you have learned some important tips and techniques to detect errors in the uses of active and passive voice, and these will certainly help you out in your competitive examinations. It is prudent to make more practice and mug up all these, because in the forthcoming video we shall be discussing narration, means direct and indirect speech. If you have clarity in tenses and voice, narration will be a child's play for you. So stay tuned and enjoy learning. Thank you.